And so we've come to the big part of Nolan's fame. Because if Nolan retires tomorrow, he'll always be remembered, and he'll always be famous for making 3 movies about Batman. It's a Batman trilogy that Batman fans have been waiting for ever since Tim Burton left the franchise. And it all began, appropriately, with Batman Begins. The movie follows Bruce Wayne's tragic childhood, his years of exile and training, and then his early days as the masked vigilante superhero known as Batman. Christian Bale takes the role that has been played by such famous faces as Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer. In Batman Begins, we see Bruce Wayne's privileged life with his protecting and loving parents. His father is a very wealthy businessman and philanthropist, working to improve Gotham City through socio-economic reforms. Sadly, both parents are shot outside a theater by a mugger named Joe Chill. Bruce goes into the custody of the family's butler, Alfred Pennyworth, and he becomes a bitter young man. When his childhood crush, Rachel Dawes, tells him about the DA giving his parents' murderer a deal to testify against the mob, Bruce is outraged. But when he witnesses the mob's influence, he realizes that there are much bigger things going on. He goes to the Far East, traveling anonymously and alone. He runs into a man named Ducar, who offers him a chance to become something better. After he endures training in the ways of a ninja, Bruce is able to fight with the use of shadows and deception, as well as the usual martial arts. He returns to Gotham ready to create his persona of the Batman, taking his childhood fear of bats and turning it into one of his greatest strengths. This movie contains the best origin story I've ever seen in a Batman movie, because so much time is devoted to it. The other movies always kept it a minor footnote, using it for flashbacks to remind us why Bruce Wayne is so tortured. Here, we get to see the look of disgust on his face when his parents' murderer seems to be getting a deal out of prison. We get to see his shame when he admits that he was going to kill that man in court. And then we watch his transformation into a man ready to take on the big criminals of Gotham without becoming a murderer himself. Christian Bale does a great job playing Bruce Wayne. His transformation from an angry young man into a more mature idealist really gives us a kind of insight into Batman that we haven't really seen before in the movies. And of course, he is completely believable as Batman. What's interesting about Batman Begins is how many mentors there are. Alfred raises Bruce and looks after his business while Bruce is away, Ducar trains him, and Lucius Fox supplies him with his equipment. Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, and Morgan Freeman have all played these fatherly mentors in the past, and their talent makes their performances seem effortless. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes. While Rachel herself is an interesting character and a great love interest for Batman compared to the damsels in distress he's always needed to keep saving, I just don't think Katie Holmes was the best choice for the role. I didn't really buy that she was a threatening criminal lawyer trying to take on Gotham's criminals. She seemed too innocent and fresh-faced. And her reaction to Bruce's confession near the beginning of the film, it just didn't feel very convincing. Something worth noting about Batman Begins, though, is that this movie really felt like a study in fear. Bruce Wayne is at first ashamed of his fears, and he even holds himself partially responsible for his parents' deaths. Later, Wayne learns how to use darkness and fear to his advantage. Then, as Batman, Wayne discovers an evil plot to drive Gotham's residents mad with induced panic and terror. This leads the first villain of the movie, the mafia boss played by Tom Wilkinson, to be upstaged by the young doctor, Jonathan Crane. As played by Cillian Murphy, Crane is an unhinged man who is fascinated by the effects his fear gas has, and while it did feel a bit unexplained as to how he got to be the way he was, he certainly proved to be a formidable opponent to Batman. We also get Gary Oldman as Lieutenant Gordon, a man who tries to be moral even though the police force that he works for is so blatantly corrupt. And aside from Batman's mentors, he becomes Batman's first real ally in his crusade against crime. Christopher Nolan will always be known for rejuvenating the Batman franchise with a gritty and more realistic atmosphere. Batman's gadgets are given grounded explanations, and his tactics are made clear to us, so we really get to appreciate his methods when he takes down criminals. Certainly, it was a success at the box office, and Nolan was quickly urged by Warner Brothers to make a sequel. But before he did that, he made a smaller film in between Batman projects. And just like the analysis of Batman, his next movie returned to the psychology behind showmanship.